Grand. So why are we here? We're here to hear from our improvement colleagues, particularly across Barts Health and Guy's and St Thomas's, but you might want to contribute your own experience at the end. And we're really talking about how we've used apprenticeships and how we've used apprenticeships to drive the work that we're doing from a quality improvement lens. And hopefully, we're really hoping that it gives you a bit of food for thought, and will help influence a bit about what you want to do next, and some of those opportunities. So I'm going to stop talking because I'm the less of the interesting piece, and the others that have got more to tell you. And I'm already 2 minutes behind. So Damini, I'm going to hand over to you. And can I ask colleagues, whilst Damini's talking, please drop in the chat who you are and where you're from. You don't need a full story, just where you work was great, and your name. And I'll ask you, if you speak later, to introduce yourself, and that's also true for those presenting. So please introduce yourself as you speak, just so people know who you are. Grand, thank you.
Thank you, Jen. I'm Damini Sitana. I'm a Senior Improvement Advisor working at Barts Health. It's so lovely to see you all. So I'm just going to kick off our presentation. I think a minute ago we could see the screen. Joe's sharing. Lovely. If we can just put it on slideshow, please, Joe. Can we all see the screen?
I can see it's not yet on slideshow.
Oh, I'm sorry, slideshow. Sorry, on slideshow. Here we are.
Thank
Apologies.
you.
Lovely, thank you.
Brilliant, lovely. So this image demonstrates our QI training offer from beginner to expert levels at Barts Health. I will briefly talk about our dosing model at Barts Health and its alignment with the improvement apprenticeship. The dosing model is crucial for building our QI capability and embedding QI in all aspects of our operations at Barts Health. The hexagons that you can see in yellow are training that is delivered by QI faculty at Barts Health, and those one in blue are externally delivered by IHI. Therefore, the improvement apprenticeship really complements and support our dosing model, offering training from intermediate to expert level. So if you click on next, please.
It takes a little while. Sorry if it's on slideshow. I might swear it. I'm really sorry. I'm going to jump out and jump in again.
No worries. So what you would see when we're able to share the screen properly, so you would see the alignment with the improvement apprenticeship and our current dosing model at Barts Health.
Big apologies for, I don't know why it's not sharing.
Do you want me to share, Joe? Is that easier if I share the screen? Perhaps slide 2, Joe, please. Thank you. Beautiful. As you can see here, this is the alignment. So the improvement apprenticeship really supports our current dosing model, and it offers the intermediate, advanced, and expert level. Next slide, please. So here, these are the benefits of the improvement apprenticeship. And as we said, we're going to share these slides, so I'm not going to go through each and every one. So what does it really offer? In terms of our delegates, they will gain a national qualification. And the provider really ensures the staff are supported with the projects and they meet the endpoint assessment. In terms of, it also supports the personal development. And as you can see here on the left-hand side, we have got 5 organizations who are currently using the improvement apprenticeship. So this is a really good opportunity for our delegates to network and learn from colleagues from across the different sites. In terms of the people, every single project must align with the strategic or operational priorities. So before delegates start on these projects, this must be signed off by their line manager. In terms of the organisation, we're currently building local capability and capacity at no extra cost, and this also supports the delivery of our NHS impact requirements. We also see the providers as an extension to our own QI team. So the next slide, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of our improvement journey. So previously we used a different provider. We had 2 attendees on the course and we did interviews with the attendees, and based on the feedback we agreed to look at other providers. And after loads of review and consideration and on the offers available, we decided to go with a Lean and Enable group. They were very responsive, and also the program looked really interesting, and we built a really good relationship with them. The new provider really made an effort to understand our existing QI methodology and in-house training, and they were willing to adapt their training content so that we didn't confuse learners on the program. And this was really important to us. It really mattered. So we did several roadshows following that, and now we are currently planning our cohort 3. Next slide, please, Joe. So these are just the numbers for cohort 2 and 3. As you can see, under the administrative and clerical, we've got the highest number of attendees. And these people consist of project managers, project administrators, service delivery managers, AGM, GMs, improvement administrators, and advisors. Next, please. So this slide here, these are the comments from colleagues who are currently doing level 4 and level 5. As you can see, there's a lot of green, a lot of positive comments. For example, they really like how the course is well presented, engaging, but not too overwhelming. The providers are also working on the comments, feedback highlighted in red, and how they can make the course even better. Next slides, please, Joe. So today with me, I've got 2 colleagues who are currently on level 4 and level 5. So Morag is an occupational therapist doing level 4. She's working on improving the incontinence pathway for stroke patients. And Charlotte is a project support officer on level 5, and she's managing a portfolio of 4 concurrent QI projects within maternity and safety. So they are here. They will tell us why they're doing the course, what has been most impactful for them, and if they would recommend anybody, any friend or colleague, to do the improvement apprenticeship. So I'm going to hand you over to Morag and then Charlotte. Over to you, Morag.
Hi, so I started this apprenticeship in September, and I had the project before that I was kind of trying to get going, but my manager had seen the leaflet for this apprenticeship, and it was been a really good way to help get going on my project and make sure that it's going to be sustainable. The learning has been excellent to apply to the project, but also to other service development projects that are happening within the team. So it's been really, really good. I would definitely recommend it. I'd say if you are going on the apprenticeship, it's best to have a project in mind before starting, because that way you can actually get going right away and apply your learning as you're going with it. The other thing I'd say is your manager's support is really, really key. My manager has been excellent and really values the work that's being done, as well as the team. I think I do have a good backing of the team. The project idea was there and they're all formed around this. So that I think is really essential to get going with it and be able to have the time to complete it, because we're all strained a bit with time as well.
Thank you, Morag. Charlie?
Hi, I'm Charlotte, and I'm in the middle of the Level 5 Improvement Specialist course, which is coaching in project management. And firstly, the Improvement Specialist courses as a whole are a great way of learning the lean methods to project management, tools that can help a change idea to become a reality. But also I love the fact that you're in a classroom of students from different NHS trusts that has been brought out before, because it's a valuable way of sharing experience, learning how maybe another trust or hospital has been able to identify and resolve an issue using the lean project management tools. So it's not just about how to do something, it's also the actual tools we're given are aligned to how to do something in a challenged NHS environment that we find ourselves in at this time. But for me personally, because I'm doing the coaching, the level 5 course, it's actually centred on coaching and how to engage teams. Now, coaching and support through change obviously is so important at this time, because in NHS we're facing a unique set of challenges. We've got financial constraints within women's health ourselves, constantly changing guidelines and policies, and we're trying to introduce change ideas to a very skilled but an overworked workforce, and they may see a change idea as a threat to their time, and so it's going to meet with some resistance. So we've got to try and rekindle that enthusiasm for that change idea. And so the training that I've received through Lean Enabled has been amazing. It's been right on track. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful coaches. And I think they really do understand the kind of NHS environment we're in and the difficulties. So it's been excellent. One of the lessons, though, that I absolutely have loved is all focused on conversation and leadership styles. And that's really helped me to know how to encourage, support and motivate teams working on QI projects. And two little things I always love to remember. One of them is how project managers, you need to become the soil in which others and their projects can bloom and reach their full potential. So we can almost become the means to help teams through that. But also there was a lovely little point that was made, and you might have seen it yourselves. It's a video, and I always remember this little point: be the first to get up and dance with them. And it's talking really about, within each project are individuals who are keen for change. So when we find apathy towards a change idea, one of the good things is to maybe work more closely with those individuals who have got that enthusiasm. Be the first to get up and dance with them, because then others look at that success and then they eventually will join us. So it's a really good way of stirring up enthusiasm, and this is what I've learned on this course. It's been amazing. And just as an example of that, we actually have a new member of staff who's recently joined us from another trust, and she's got bags of enthusiasm for change ideas. So what I've done now is I've included her into a lot of the relevant groups and a lot of the relevant projects, because she's helped rekindle that lost motivation amongst others. So it's been an excellent way of, times are difficult. Change has to happen, and change is good, but it's that motivation. And I think this course has been an excellent way so far to know how to do that. So yes, I've really enjoyed it, and I think for anybody, I don't know, in divisions, in departments who have got that enthusiasm for change, would like to help motivate, I think it's a very, very good course.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Morag and Charlotte. So just to finish off, so I'm just going to talk through our lesson learned and next step. Really difficult to follow on from Charlotte. I'll try my best. So lesson learned: how we will continue to raise awareness around the apprenticeship program, around Barts Health, what we've learned through that process, the importance of building strong relationship with our key stakeholders, and also tailoring the offer based on the needs of each site. We have got a very diverse workforce at Barts Health, and for us, using that local intelligence and tailoring our approach accordingly has been really, really key and valuable. Last on lesson learned is choosing the right provider who is willing to work with you, who understands your sector and is flexible to tweak their teaching material so that we don't confuse learners and we are meeting the needs. The next step for us, our future ambition would be to double our numbers that we are putting through each year, embedding apprenticeship into induction, appraisal, conversation, and recruitment. We've also got a community of practice at Barts Health. So this is a platform for improvement enthusiasts. It's also a great opportunity to network with other people and to network with other people. So what we would really like is to make sure that people who have done the apprenticeship program to continue and grow, not lose that momentum or that enthusiasm. So that would be an opportunity for them to join our QI faculty and deliver training across the organization. And our buddying system would also like our staff who have completed the apprenticeship program to become effective coaches and mentors for our future apprentices. Thank you for listening. We'll take questions at the end. Over to you, Jen.
Thanks, Damini. And thank you to Morag and Charlotte as well. It's lovely to hear your experiences directly. And as has rightly been shared with us, as Kevin's rightly pointed out, all of this is funded through the apprenticeship levy, which I know it's not free. In my head, it's a free good to me because it's available then we should be utilising it. But it's lovely to hear it's being used so well. So thank you all for sharing that. I'm mindful of time, so I'm going to move on and hold your questions, please, in your heads or scribble them down. We'll come back to them at the end. We will have time, I promise. So Laura from Guys and St Thomas's, we're going to hand over to you. I haven't seen you pop up. I'm sure you're there. There you are. Yes, okay, hello. Thanks, Laura. Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Jen, and thank you for having us present in this forum. I'm here with a couple of colleagues, actually. Faye, who I'm going to hand over to at the end of this presentation, and we also have Harleen, who leads our apprenticeship, the provision of our apprenticeship programs across the trust. And everything that I'm about to describe is very much collaboration with Harleen and her team, and that is actually been something that has been really beneficial as our teams coming together and thinking about how apprenticeships can enhance our current offer. I do have some slides. I'm now very nervous to attempt to share, but let me see if that works. I'm not going to put it on slideshow.
You can see it, Laura.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Let's hope that the rest of the presentation is as smooth as this. So I just I thought very quickly I'd give you a little bit of context around what City is and where it fits in the organisation. I'm Associate Director for City, which is the Centre for Innovation, Transformation and Improvement at Guys and St Thomas's, and it's a fairly new function. So we're still in the process of developing who we are and what we offer to the organisation on different fronts, and one of those fronts is around training and capability development. So we've got lots to learn, so it's great to meet you all here. Just again at context, and I'm talking to people who are also from very large organisations. The only reason I flash up this slide is that we need to be very clever around how we reach the organisation because of its scale. And that is true across our portfolio when we deliver, like select and deliver programs that we want to deliver, when we start thinking about how we systematize improvement across the organisation and how we deliver training. We want it to be incredibly accessible, but with 5 different sites and 24,000 staff, it proves very difficult, and that's where apprenticeships become a very, very effective and good tool for us. If I jump straight into here, part of my portfolio at City is to look at 3 things, and I'm sure none of these will be surprises to my QI colleagues. The first is to develop ways to systematize the improvement in the organization. How do we make it part of everyone's job? How do we make it part of how we manage operations and performance? And how do we really tweak our business as usual processes to embed improvement in everything we do? The second is around building capability and capacity, and that again, that's where apprenticeships become very effective. And then the third is around delivering on mobilizing and delivering large programs around transformation, improvement, and innovation to help the organization. Improvement is only one of the subject matters that we have in the team, and what I'm about to describe for improvement, we're pursuing the same training strategy for our other offers. So Harleen, we've got a lot to talk about, and the next one I think for us is around project program management. But if I talk you through essentially the structure of our training offer as it is at the moment, you'll see that they follow all of the same structures, which is those little icons at the top across our different subject matters. So for improvement, we have an improvement toolkit and a bunch of resources that we have available online, followed by an introduction to improvement that we would like to tag to the induction. Still working on that. And then we build on the learning for people to access a 2-day course that we can either deliver. So we have a corporate offer for quarterly, or we do bespoke. So if a team come to us and we don't have the capacity to support a project that they're undertaking, we will facilitate a bespoke training course around improvement and use their project as the example in the training. And then essentially where we've put apprenticeships, anything more advanced than that, because our team have limited capacity to be able to do all of the 3 things I've described. So we really use the apprenticeships to help us with that, along with our improvement leadership courses, which are completely embedded in our standard leadership pieces at GSTT. So the idea is the exact same for project program management, and we've just started thinking about how that looks like for innovation, and following the same structure. In terms of we have a city and Isaacs function. At the moment, we have a bite-sized series, little 1-2 hour training sessions. But the ambition again is to structure in the same way and then tap into the apprenticeship for the more advanced levels. So we're very fan of apprenticeships. They form a core part of our training strategy and our dosing model as well, because we have that too. If I go, oh, here we go. If I go with our journey, which interestingly sounds quite similar to Bart's, where we had a different provider 3-4 years ago, and the evaluation wasn't fantastic, so we looked at another provider and started conversations with lean enabled. And we trialed a cohort, the first cohort on level 5. And then before launching into a second cohort, we worked with them to review the content and align it to what we teach in our introduction to improvement, and then our 2-day face-to-face. And I have to say, this was the most, from a provider of an apprenticeship, this is incredibly valuable, because it gives you confidence that you're building on the knowledge, as opposed to get people to get familiar with a new model when they're on board. And not all of it was about replacing their content, but just highlighting that there are 2 things, like PDSA and DMIC was one of them, where we just were very keen that they because they teach DMIC, they make the translation to PDSA at all times. And then we're in the same process with level 4 that we started last year, and we're in cohort 2. We've got 3 cohorts for level 5 and 2 cohorts for level 4. And in terms of content, the way we pitch it to the organization is that from an improvement delivery and project management delivery, both courses take you from where you've been left off after our face-to-face offer and take you further. Same thing for data for improvement. If our staff do our city analytics bite size, they will know things like where to get data at GSTT, how to extract the data at GSTT, etc., so that when they go on to the apprenticeships, they already have that knowledge. At least we'd like to think so. And then the light blue, the light blue components are things that we don't currently have an offer for, but that we rely on the apprenticeships to provide. And then the project coaching support is also something that we really, really value in apprenticeships, is that with the size of the organization, we cannot coach everyone with an interest in improvement or with an improvement project, but we can refer them to a comprehensive program that provides both the theory and then some coaching on a project, which I think is a massive advantage of apprenticeships as well. Our numbers, I was quite interested to see, Darren, your split of where people come from, because it's quite similar to ours. And actually, our next bit is to figure out how we strike the balance a little bit better. But we have a majority of administrative and clerical staff, mostly from project background and service management, and then a minority of clinicians, which is I'd like it to be a little bit more balanced, but we've got plans to address that. And we also have plans to do better with our numbers and make more use of the apprenticeships in the future. Some of our tips, and I'll read through these and then think, oh, goodness, there's probably 5 more I could have put in there, but let's use that as the start of 10 for the conversation. Is what we've valued the most with the provider we have currently is the ability to meet with them, work on alignment, and alignment on 2 fronts really is around how do we make apprenticeships the part of the complete package of training. And some of that is either alignment of content or at least mapping of content, where we use the APA methodology, for example, and they can then reference that for GSTT learners. We've also delivered an introduction modules on a couple of the apprenticeships, which I think is really good to be able to connect with the learners as the center for as the function for improvement in the organization. Is good to meet them face to face and connect. The second point is around, I think because of this offer because if it's a comprehensive program and it has a coaching element, I think it's key for the projects to be strategically aligned, which Damini, you've touched on around the sign off from the line managers. But I think we can do probably better in that in communicating what the priorities are with lean unable groups, so that they can help navigate the learners to select things that they will gain organizational support for. And then we also have plans to essentially connect people to larger programs of work that we have. So unsurprisingly, we have an acute flow program, we have a theatre productivity program, we have a cancer performance program. If there is an interest from the learners to contribute to those programs, they could have their project essentially feed into our governance, which is something that we're looking at. And then I think there is a point which is more something I've experienced having had some of my team on the apprenticeship, but it's at onboarding and during the course having the right processes and conversations around how you best align the work that the course requires and the work that is required by your day job, and finding a way for the vent essentially, for that middle bit to grow, so that there is less pressure on the individual to spend time outside of work. And I can't remember what my last slide is. Oh, that's where I hand over to, hey, who's on the call.
Thank you, Laura. So yeah, I was just asked for feedback on sort of, I guess, my experience of getting onto the course and being on the course. So as I say, I'm one of the minorities that Laura mentioned. So my background is as an AHP. So I'm 20 years as a physio. And I guess I worked my way up to a kind of ceiling point of being one of the clinical leads within our MSK department, and then just kind of hit a bit of a grey area of what to do next. But I think I was probably in that situation that I'm sure some people can sort of sympathise with, that we as a service had so many projects started and not completed, or started, completed, and then never followed through with your second, third, fourth cycles to ensure that there is consistent change or consistent improvement. And so all of our metrics, all of our outputs were just constantly going back to not being as comfortable as we wanted them to be. So I think one of the reflection points I had when I tried to get on the course was it's really selling it as a non-operational person, that it was important for someone to have these skills. So I did quite a lot of persuasion for my team to say why I thought it was important that it wasn't a clinical driven course and that it was more of an operational driven course. But I think collecting all the data and presenting just how badly our department was performing when it came to projects and outputs seemed to sell it to them. So I guess as a result, I then had a very random job role where I was being seen as the person that had all the projects being sort of thrown my way, which was great. I also found at the time, this was sort of 2-3 years ago, that there was no one really that anyone knew of from a clinician's perspective that could coach me or help me with my projects. I kept hitting a bit of a brick wall. And so people were saying that there's definitely a knowledge gap and there's a need for there to be clinical transformation leads. So I think I just happened to come along at the right time, and the Lean Enabled team, I happened to know them through some of our in-house projects that Laura was talking about and training, that they coached and supported me and then encouraged me to go on the course, which has obviously coming to the end of it. And now I've actually moved into a sort of temporary transformation role. I think it's helped the service and helped our directorate understand that actually to embed any change, I think there does need to be someone with skills and that sort of general knowledge of transformation work, which is quite helpful. It is only a fixed term role, so I guess there's partial onboarding and not a complete need for us. But as Laura said, other clinical directorates and services do have a kind of focused and permanent transformation program of work, which is really, really positive. So as I say, for myself and my colleagues that's working in this role with me, we both just felt that for a desired career path change, we wanted to have the sort of backing of a qualification that was going to support that. And then we found that, just like Laura was saying, that we're now able to be that go-to for people to request any coaching sessions from, to make sure that these smaller projects that don't quite hit the bigger picture for the trust, but they do for each service, each team, each directorate, there is someone that can help make sure that they're actually followed through, they're seen in the right way, the actual methodology is correct and adequate and appropriate, to make sure that we're making generally our business as usual. It doesn't have to be transformational, but it just, some of the business as usual stuff that we should be getting right and we're not, is actually going to be seen through. So I've loved it, really enjoyed it. It's not easy, it's not a walk in the park, it does take a lot of work, but it has actually been really quite motivational for me to just give me that confirmation that perhaps after 20 years as a physio, it might be a chance to do something a little bit different.
Brilliant, thank you both, really, really helpful. Laura, you look like you were going to jump something else on if I cut you off. No,
I was just thanks Faye for also for providing your experience. I think a couple of points on next step for us is definitely explore apprenticeships for different topics like project program management, and diagnosing how we can get more clinicians onto the course, which is very much linked to the work we're currently doing around community of practice. I feel like I'm stealing all of your next step points and so many, but it feels like we're very much in the same place. And to Faye's point is we're trying to understand how we can connect the alumni from the apprenticeship to then provide coaching wider to the organization and have mechanisms for these alumni to come together and then continue with their learning and their engagement. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Really, really helpful to hear. I'm just going to jump to Joe, conscious of time, Joe, over to you, and then we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, that's why I preempted and put the slide up a bit early. Sorry about that, Laura, while you're trying to talk. This is just basic information and it's really for reference after the session. So I've given you the links to each of the apprenticeships that people have been talking about. We often refer to them as level 4, level 5. So this is what they are, what their official titles are, etc. For those that aren't familiar, there's some key information on the right talking about just key stuff that people who aren't apprentice experts need to know. The fact that the apprentices are staff, the fact that there is a little bit of learning time that needs to be allocated, but as you will already be aware, some of that learning time, minimum of 6 hours a week, obviously there's classes, but they're applying their learning on a particular project, so that learning combines with actually a business or a service delivery aspect, so it's not all that they'll be completely out of circuit for that time. So that's what the third point is, applying their learning to the workplace. We've talked about the funding. The apprenticeship levy funding covers the cost of the training. So that goes through the system, through the digital system to the training provider. Obviously, the employer will still be paying the salary of this person. If they're in an existing role, then the time that they are learning would need to will be part of their salary, as with any training program, where, including series of short courses where individuals are doing it during their paid working time. So it's not different. It's just something we need to point out. In terms of next steps, we're suggesting you talk to your apprenticeship lead for more information on how it might work in your settings. Clearly identify where apprenticeships work or don't work and how it fits with that wide workforce in the way that everybody's described, and critically get the right training provider. And maybe that'll come up in the questions. So there, my 5 minutes was 2.5. Thank you.
Legend. Thanks so much, Joe. That's really helpful. And I'm conscious we've thrown a lot of information out to people in this time. So have people got questions they want to ask? Yes is the answer to that. Virginia.
I've got a really basic question because I think I didn't have a ton of background about this meeting when I joined it. So I'm trying to understand and follow as you're describing it. Is today's pitch to encourage us to release our staff to become an apprentice, or is today's pitch about picking up an apprentice and putting it into our quality improvement teams? Which of the two lenses is this covered? And the second is, what is, I guess, your aim in sharing this information?
Joe, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, this is about helping us all to see how apprenticeships fit in our workforce development strategy. That might be about creating a role that you recruit to, Virginia, if that's what you mean, or it might be, as in the case for the two trusts that have presented, it might be about providing the apprenticeship opportunity to existing staff so that that whole improvement agenda can be supported in terms of developing expertise and knowledge across different aspects of the system. So the purpose of this is really to show you how apprenticeships can be used as part of an improvement, transformation, workforce development strategy. How you use it will depend on your context. Like you're primary care, aren't you, Virginia? So
no, so we lead a quality improvement. We're the NEL quality improvement, a program for general practice and primary care. So we do the training, we offer the training, we host improvement leads, we are improvement advisors. And I was trying to understand when I joined this meeting, I thought that what you were going to try and offer is, this is how you can embed some apprentices within Equip so that they can learn these skills and then go off elsewhere and deploy them. But then for the nature of the pitches, it sounded like it was something that I might be offering my improvement leads an opportunity, which we don't employ because they're all on 0-hour contracts. Were we suggesting offering them an opportunity to explore. And
I think
both are fine. I was just trying to like get my head on straight around what the.
It's a combination of both, Virginia. And if you think about the workforce, all of the workforce would, in an ideal world, would have knowledge, skills and behaviours relating to improvement, wouldn't they? Not, the people that your guys are training out there in general practices. It might be practice managers, it might be business managers, it might be people in the primary care networks, it might be clinicians. So in the same way as BARTS or GSTT have offer different apprenticeships to the whole workforce, and you could use the apprenticeship offer as part of part of your quality improvement training offer. So it could be complementing some of your short courses. A lot of people think about apprenticeships as bringing new people into the workforce, used as a recruitment tool. Probably we're talking more, I think, in this context about using it for existing staff, but building it into our recruitment promotion, as I can't remember, I think Damini mentioned. I don't know if that helps, but if you want to talk further about it, then we've got Fardusi here from Tower Hamlets Training Hub, and I'm more than happy to talk more about it offline, Virginia. Hopefully you're sufficiently interested as a result of this session.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, just whilst others think about their questions, I think for us at BARTS, and it sounds like a similar position at Guy's and St Thomas's, this has been a combination of, we offer training anyway. So certainly at BARTS House, we offer coach training, but this is supplementary to that, in that our capacity and our frequency with which we can offer that is limited by the very nature of what we're trying to deliver. So this gives people another opportunity to get that exposure, that training, at the same time as, of course, get an apprenticeship qualification, which is, a big win. We've also absolutely aligned it to our delivery. So Laura was touching on this earlier from a guy's perspective, absolutely linking it to the programs of work that needed to be delivered, so that because it's a really tough gig, isn't it, releasing people, we know that, but if it's linked to, I've got to do this piece anyway, I've got this safety issue we need to address, and people are addressing it through that, it's been a really helpful connection. It is complicated, of course, and each individual has got their own reason for doing things. So I will let you two connect more on that. Kevin.
Hi, thanks, Jen. I just wanted to point out to Virginia that BARTS Health currently has a levy of £10 million in their account, and we can transfer levy funds to finance any of the training programs we discussed today, particularly in the Northeast London ICS, because it's obviously supporting the local healthcare economy. So that's something perhaps Joe could advise you on if you've got any team members, or perhaps you could share that with your primary care colleagues, that we're happy to support, funding improvement apprenticeships across Northeast London. Thanks.
Sharp intake of breath as Kevin gives our money away. I'm only teasing. He knows the gig. Anyway, thank you, Kevin. I think that's really, really helpful. It's really important. It really is important. Any other questions anybody wants to ask? Fiona?
This is more of a technical one for Charlotte, really. And just thinking about the sequence of improvement and how long it takes people to get through that. I think we're mentioning the passion people have for change ideas. Do you find any discrepancy with them not... might be a moot point, but for those that maybe are progressing through that and maybe understanding the problem, do people maybe want to spend... There's a tendency, I think, to spend a lot less time fully understanding the problem, to leaping off to let's do a change idea and go for that, as opposed to fully understanding the process. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about, what are your service users saying in terms of the co-produced way of looking at this? What are they saying? Because they're the kind of root of it, really, so certainly in quality improvement. And I would just a curious question for you, basically, Charlotte.
Yeah, if I understand it correctly, so when I started doing some projects, like the very first one, I remember sitting in the office and saying, this doesn't need a project, I can just do it. And it's taken them through a process of like you can do that. You can go ahead, even a work stream, something very maybe basic. It might seem basic, but if you just go ahead and do it, you've got no what's the word? You've got no trail of whether that worked, whether it didn't, or whether we could have done things differently. So sometimes just going ahead and doing something. So when I first started a project, that was very much, I just want to go ahead and do it. But actually just slowing down and just showing them the value of doing something through quality improvement just shows it. And also it helps with like PDSA cycles. So they can do something, it doesn't work, you can change it to get it right first time. So it's just helping them to see that the value of doing things through a project rather than just going ahead and doing something. Is that?
I think what I'm more trying to emphasize is the difficulty it can be with teams to really understand the problem, even before they get to a change idea or trying the plan, do, study, act cycle, is actually fully understanding the problem properly and linking ahead to building the foundations of okay, what do our team think, what data have we got, getting that data for starters for some, especially those who are maybe not within the NHS, can be an absolute nightmare. And I'm just kind of, I was just curious whether you'd encountered it. That was all. It wasn't a test or anything. I was just curious.
It's problem that's regular in our world. But I think all of it goes back to using the methodology really carefully and thoughtfully. So, we push really hard on understanding the problem. What is the problem? Whatever plethora of information available to us to help to do that is absolutely key. There are moments, being really frank, where I've just said, crack on then, because I knew that until that we stumbled across and made and learned through things not working, was I going to then be able to get people back to a position of understanding what the problem was, because they didn't want to. But some of that's about the experience. As you go through an apprenticeship, as you'll appreciate, of course, your development path that takes you through the coaching model that helps you go, right, I'm going to have to let this team just ride this one out, versus I'm actually going to encourage them more, coach them to a slightly different solution. But I absolutely, it is a big issue, because of the pace with which people want things delivered now. Not that that's changed, but it's a good point. Thanks for that, Fiona.
You're welcome. No, I'm just saying that I'll be very quick. I won't take up airspace. No, just about people being willing to make mistakes and trusting that process.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes it's important to let them. Agree. Jo.
Thanks. I'm really conscious of the time now. So it's more sort of an observation stroke question. I have picked up across the circuits, not just in North East London, but across, let's say, London, a view that these apprenticeships aren't relevant because they don't reflect our NHS Trust quality improvement transformation methodology. And clearly you view them as relevant because they do. And I just wondered whether, very, very briefly, either BARTS or GSTT might want to say, just reassuring any of the other trusts here that you really can tailor these programs to make them relevant. Otherwise, there's no point doing them, in my view. Does anyone want to just say something very short on that?
Laura, your hand's gone up. Do you want to jump in?
Harleen, I can see you smile, and I wonder whether you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. This is exactly the reason we changed provider, essentially. Well, one of the reasons. The first, and that's where it's the selection of the provider is very important, and the not only the provider but the people who are going to be put forward to facilitate. And I think that's why now the program evaluates so much better than it did with the previous provider, because they are the provider we're using are very experienced in healthcare. They've been in healthcare for most of their careers, so they've got all the relevant examples. They can translate the theory, which might be a bit dry at times, into like, this is how we think it could be relevant to you, and that tagged with the coaching offer, I think is really powerful.
Yeah, and a really similar view from the Barts Health side, that we've absolutely tailored it. But if you roll back to NHS Impact, it's quite clear that there are common elements that are in the DNA of all QI methodologies, and that's, you know, we know that that's what certainly the current provider is fulfilling for us. So I think that's what's quite important. Harleen, sorry to leave you waiting. You've been very patient.
No, really just want to jump in and say this is exactly why I worked with Lean and Able to actually develop the program that they did, because it was a massive gap that I saw, that in terms of many of the different providers that were out there did not understand health and didn't understand improvement techniques within health, how to apply improvement techniques within health. So that is why I worked with Lean and Able right from the very start, when them becoming a training provider was just a concept, and actually supported them to actually move forward. So very much at the centre of what they do is supporting the NHS to use these techniques effectively.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that. I'm conscious of time, so that huge thank you to everybody today. I appreciate we've moved really, really fast through this. The slides will be coming out to you, and the recording, should you want to watch it all over again, you can spend your time doing so. I'm pretty confident that people will be open to being contacted. So unless they all shriek at me now, or go via Jo, and I'm sure she'll filter out as appropriate. Thanks, Jo. Just to make sure that you can make those links. The key thing I would say to you is that I felt really blind about the apprenticeship for a really long time, and it's become really evident to us how complementary it is to what we're trying to offer. So I would really, really strongly encourage you to utilise it. It's there as an opportunity. It's great for the people that we are employing. Huge bandwidth potential for us from a QI lens, at the same time as making sure we're equipping people with the skills that they need on an ongoing path in their NHS career. So definitely use it. Do look into it. Think about what it potentially could give you, because I think what you've hopefully heard from two organisations today is that it's worked really well for us. So thank you so much. At 1 minute 2, we will call time then. Huge thank you to everybody for your time, and sorry again for the tech glitches, and hope you get to enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Thanks so much, Jen.
Thanks,
And
everyone
who was speaking. Really